Most beginners' Milky Way photos fail before the photographer ever leaves the house. This is because they leave during the wrong moon phase, are facing the wrong direction, they show up at the wrong time of night, or at locations with too much light pollution. The difference between frustration and success usually comes down to planning. I'm Carly Stocks, and today I'm going to walk you through how I plan the perfect Milky Way shoot step by step, so that when you arrive on location, you already know it's going to work. Step 1, start with the moon phase. If you ignore everything else in this video, don't ignore this. The moon is the single biggest factor in Milky Way photography. You want dark skies. That means planning within about a week before or after the new moon. You can sometimes work with a crescent moon if it sets early, but a half moon or full moon will wash out the core and kill contrast. When planning a photo, I check the moon phase first, always. I won't commit to a camping trip without consulting my moon calendar. I get teased about it, but if the moon isn't going to cooperate, I reschedule. Step 2, confirm the Milky Way core is actually visible at the night during that time of year. In the northern hemisphere, the core is visible at night roughly from March through October, but the time of night changes by the month. In March, it's a 4 a.m. subject. In June, it's up most of the night. In September, it sets shortly after sunset. So before you commit to a date, confirm. Is the core up during the hours I'm willing to be outside taking pictures? Step 3, check the directions. The Milky Way core always appears in the southeastern or southern sky in the northern hemisphere during the spring and summer. By fall, it's in the southwestern region. So if your location only looks good facing north, it won't work, ever. Those are star trail composition subjects. This is where tools like Google Maps, PhotoPills, Stellarium, or StarWalk 2 can help. Use them to figure out the direction the Milky Way core will be, its elevation, how high it will be in the sky, and when it rises. You don't want it buried in the haze on the horizon or too high overhead. Being on location is easiest for checking if the Milky Way lines up with a certain foreground element, but you can learn about a location from PhotoPills and Google Maps. Let me show you how I would use PhotoPills to plan a Milky Way image at one of Utah's most iconic spots. First, we want to open up PhotoPills and we're going to click up here where it says Planner. Now, I want to take a picture of the Milky Way with the Delicate Arch in Arches National Park. So I'm going to click on Load, and then I am going to type Delicate Arch. Now it's going to take me right there. So you can see the red pen would be where I would stand for Delicate Arch. If we zoom in down here, you can see on Google Maps, this right here is the arch. And so we want the Milky Way to be over here on this side. So we're going to zoom out a little bit. Now these dots represent the Milky Way arch. So we have this set for the new moon in April because this is a spring alignment. As I slide the time forward, we can see that that line and those bigger dots represent the core, and that line is like the galactic center. We can see that it gets closer and closer to the arch. So if we zoom in here, we see that line is right to the east or to the right of Delicate Arch around 3:40 to 4 o'clock, okay, depending probably on where exactly you're standing at this location. And eventually you could get it to line up directly in the opening of Delicate Arch. Now we would know if we want to get this alignment, then we need to go during the new moon in April. This was a quick demonstration of how to use PhotoPills. If you want more detailed step-by-step instructions and my full location scouting workflow, you can find that in my Milky Way in Motion course. In the course, I reveal how you can use Google Maps and PhotoPills to know nearly everything you need to know about a location before you ever visit. You can find the link to the course in the description below. Step 4 is to evaluate light pollution. To photograph the Milky Way, you have to have dark enough skies. To find out how dark an area is, check a light pollution map like lightpollutionmap.info or lightpollutionmap.app. Or you can Google light pollution map and a bunch will show up. On these maps, look for two things: the color and the Bortle scale rating of your location. In general, warmer colors and white mean more light pollution, and cooler colors and dark mean less. For the Bortle scale, Bortle 1 to 3 are excellent and very dark skies. The Milky Way is visible and easily photographed. Bortle 4 is good, but maybe not as detailed. Bortle 5 is challenging, but possible. However, it will look washed out. Bortle 6 and 7 are generally suburban and small city skies. I've seen some images of the core from skilled photographers at these Bortle ratings, so it is possible, but not advisable. Bortle 8 and 9 are highly light polluted cities. You will be lucky to see stars, and the Milky Way will not be visible or photographable. If you live near a city, you may need to drive an hour or two for dark skies. And here's something important: the direction of the light pollution matters. If there's a major city south of you, that glow will sit directly under the Milky Way core. That's not ideal, and you will need to get far away from this city to be able to see the core. Even if you are in a dark sky area, the bright lights of a nearby city to the south could mess up your images. I'm looking at you, Las Vegas. So, you're better off staying south, east, or west of large cities when capturing the Milky Way core. Step 5, weather and transparency. A night photographer's biggest nemesis is clouds. Thin, scattered clouds may still be workable, but heavy, thick clouds will ruin your Milky Way visibility. Make friends with your weather app and keep a close eye on it as you approach your planned excursion. Flexibility is often key with night photography. Sometimes you may be able to adjust your plans and visit a different location in another direction and find clear skies. I have 5 weather apps on my phone that I use to cross-check my predictions, but for Utah, I find that AccuWeather is the most reliable when it comes to cloud cover predictions. Besides clouds, it's also important to consider sky transparency. Factors like high humidity, smoke, or dust in the air reduce contrast and detail. We don't have a lot of humidity here in Utah, but when I'm visiting humid locations, I keep an eye on that. Before I go out, I generally check the sky outside. I check the cloud forecast, wind speed, and smoke maps during fire season. Clear skies are good, but clear and dry skies are even better. Step 6, scout in the daylight. A lot of people skip this step. Show up to your location during the day if possible, especially if you haven't been there before. When you arrive, look for interesting foreground objects, leading lines, and things that might obstruct your view. Once I find a composition I like, I get out PhotoPills and check to make sure the Milky Way lines up where I want with the object. I've been doing this long enough that I can usually tell just by the direction of the object, but I like to double check just to make sure and to see the exact time the Milky Way will line up. You don't want to discover at midnight that a mountain blocks the core until 3 a.m. If I can't scout before in person, I use Google Maps and PhotoPills to plan the shot. Step 7, time the shot. Once I know the date, the moon phase, the direction, and the location, then I narrow down the exact shooting window. For example, if I know the core rises at 1:15 a.m., clears the ridge in the horizon at 1:15 a.m., astronomical twilight begins at 4:45 a.m., that gives me a 3-hour working window to capture my images. Now I know exactly when to be ready. Step 8, the gear check. Before leaving, I confirm that the batteries are charged, the memory cards are empty, the tripods are packed and in good working order, my camera and lenses are packed and clean, headlamps and intervalometers are packed with charged batteries, and that I have warm layers, gloves, and hats ready to go. Planning isn't just astronomical, it's practical. A dead battery ruins a perfect forecast. I generally make sure everything is charged when I come home from a photo shoot so I know the gear is ready to go at a moment's notice. Because you never know when the aurora is going to pop up in your area. Step 9. Arrive early. I aim to arrive before full darkness. This gives me time to compose carefully, focus properly, set up safely, and let my eyes adapt. Rushing leads to mistakes. I'm often out camping with my family, so arriving early also gives me time to enjoy the area before I get to work taking images. Planning doesn't guarantee a perfect photo, but it removes avoidable mistakes. Instead of wondering, is it going to be visible? You know. Instead of hoping the core rises around 2 a.m., you're certain. And that confidence changes how you shoot. The perfect Milky Way image is not random, it's planned. Moon phase, season, direction, darkness, weather, and composition. Get those right, and you dramatically increase your chances of success. Before you head out to capture your Milky Way photos, make sure to download my Quick Start checklist with all the settings and steps to capture your own night sky photos. You can find it using the link in the description below. Please subscribe and check out my other videos. Take care and clear skies.